welcome to this week's episode of the Cowcast. This week we are reading Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader. I'm Demoan, and joining me are...
Michael.
And Mikey.
Mm-hmm. So, this story is about Batman and how he died. But something's a little fishy about this scenario. So why don't we just dive right in?
Well, first off, we should mention who wrote this. The very acclaimed Neil Gaiman, and then Andy Kubert, who is another great accomplished artist, great Batman artist.
Because it's two issues. It went across two different books, though.
Yeah, this began in Batman 686, and I believe concluded in Detective Comics 853.
Yep, that's right.
And this was basically a placeholder until Judd Winnick would come on the Batman title and do 6 issues before Tony Daniel took over with writing and art. This is right after R.I.P. By Grant Morrison. And the whole thing for this is it's a placeholder, but it's like it's meant to be this is the last Batman story. So like they phoned Neil Gaiman. He's like, oh, I'd love to do this. So it's meant to be a fun thing. So this is the death of a Batman. But it's not like the main universe Batman. It's the death of some universe's Batman.
And if the more you read the story, it feels like it's the deaths of multiple different universe Batmans.
Yeah.
Because it's like it recounts a bunch of different death scenes that aren't at all connected.
Yeah, and
as well as like the costume changes in the casket.
Yeah, and Andy Kubert Neil Gaiman gave Andy Kubert the idea to draw this book with a very timeless feel, so you get the sense of like the whole history of Batman throughout it. But Demoan, since this was your pick, how about you tell us about the plot of this? Because it's not your typical plot.
No, it's so the story starts off. It's Batman's dead, and literally everyone from his life, villains, allies, even like Commissioner Gordon, some of the cops are there at his funeral.
Yeah, Bullock and Montoya are there along with Gordon.
Yes. And then obviously Babs in the wheelchair. And guess who's out front in the greeting everyone? It's Joe Chill.
Yeah, he's the bartender.
Just Joe Chill. Well, that's what he was. Not just like the worker or whatever.
Yeah, someone needs to be out front. But it's the Batman's funeral is taking place in the back of a seedy bar in Crime Alley.
Like you serve drinks. It's like a place. Got it.
And it's being hosted by Alfred, which is the best part.
Yes.
But I also think they buried him in the Batman costume too. So
yes, they did.
That's like so people still technically don't know that it's Bruce Wayne, but they've just buried Batman.
Yeah. It's interesting.
And there's flashbacks with Catwoman.
Yes.
Which recounts their first meeting with each other, which is actually technically wrong because the costumes are correct. Yep. But their first meeting actually took place on a boat. It did not take place on a rooftop.
Wait, that like weird cat costumes like is that like her original outfit?
Yep, that's what she wore in Batman #1.
Are you freaking kidding me? This was awful.
Yeah, it was quickly changed.
Yeah,
she wasn't Catwoman yet. She was just known as the Cat.
Oh wow, okay.
It's a brutal costume from what we know Catwoman as today.
Yeah, the more you know, huh?
And then it wouldn't be until the 80s that Frank Miller gave Selina Kyle her new origin where she was a prostitute, which that origin's pretty much kind of been pushed aside and not really acknowledged because it has not aged well.
Yeah,
prostitutes don't typically do too well as heroes nowadays.
But like I said, Andy Kubert's art has that very timeless feel because we do get to see Selina Kyle in her like classic purple, and then her classic purple and green Catwoman costume later, while Batman has the more Dick Sprang-esque suit with the like kind of bigger muscles and then like the smaller ears. But
I just wanted to like say like right in the beginning when the story picks up, we see Selina driving a Catmobile or like I don't know.
No, it's straight up a Catmobile.
Yeah, everyone has their own version of a Batmobile. It's kind of funny.
It's a car and has a Catwoman on the front of it. It's the best thing ever.
And they have like a homeless kid like saying like, "Hey, I can like give me like 5 cents. I can like wash your car for you." It's like the show,
he has he's a switchblade.
I loved the gag with Two-Face though. Two-Face is like, here, I'll flip the coin. Instead of giving you a quarter, if it lands non-scarred side up, I'll give you $1 and you can park it. Or if it lands scarred side down, I'm going to kill you.
And then that'll serve as a warning.
Yeah.
And then I liked the Joker too.
The Joker was the best. He's like, I'll give you $20, and the kid's terrified because like he's gonna kill you.
He's like, you're the Joker. You're gonna kill me. And like after the Joker went inside, he's like, if I walk away from the car, he'll kill me. And he kept like overthinking like the Joker killing him, and it was the funniest.
Well, it's the thing. He's like, I only kill people when it's funny. But like it's exactly right how he would do it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the way the kid's overthinking it almost makes it funny. So like,
it is.
The kid's actually
hilarious.
in fear now.
But everyone at this funeral is kind of sharing their own story of how Batman died. Demoan, what's your favorite one? I like the Alfred one.
The Alfred one was my favorite.
That's my favorite as well.
In the first issue, there were really only two. It was just Selina and Alfred. Yes. And then they got like short synopsises of like rundowns in the second issue.
I thought the Selina one was still good though.
The Selina one was good. Because it's a weird way she showed she loved Batman by tying him up when he was bleeding out and letting him die.
Yeah.
I saw that as more of as like a possible death for the Golden Age Batman, because if you remember, the Golden Age Batman gets married to Catwoman.
Right.
Okay.
And they have Helena Wayne, who becomes the Huntress. Right.
Okay.
But I thought the Alfred one, which was just kind of much more dynamically cool, which you want to tell us about the Alfred one, because it's got some layers to it.
So, as we all know, Alfred, before joining the Waynes, had a bunch of different jobs, but this one goes back into his days of acting in a traveling theater troupe. Mm-hmm. And it starts off, he gets a letter from his dad that Alfred has to come home and take care of the Waynes now because his father's dying. So Alfred comes home, Bruce's parents obviously dies, ugly, and then Bruce goes into his whole thing of, I'm going to be the perfect human, I'm going to stop crime. And he does a good job of doing that at first, but he's obviously crazy, walking around dressed as a bat, trying to stop crime. And eventually, regular criminals just aren't enough for Batman, so Alfred concocts a plan.
Well, it's also the thing, like, he's not finding anyone, so he's getting discouraged. Because it's like a very reality-based sense to it.
He's stopping, like, maybe one or two people every few nights, but, like, it's not enough for, like, to justify what he's doing. So Alfred calls in an old member of his theater troupe, and he has him play the Riddler.
Yes.
And he starts calling in members of his theater troupe to play different villains in Batman.
And I like how when Alfred is creating basically Batman's rogues gallery with his acting friends, that his friends' names, like the real names, sound pretty similar to like the alter egos of the villains in a way.
Yeah. Because it's Eddie Nash, Ed Digma.
Yeah, Ozzy, I like Ozzy for like Oswald Cobblepot. So. Mm-hmm.
And then Alfred, of course, himself is the Joker.
Yes. And I like the way Andy Kubert draws this. Like
the transformation from Alfred to Joker.
Yeah, like because the way it's drawn, like it looks. Alfred doesn't look that threatening until like when he puts the makeup on the costume, until he smiles. Then at the bottom, that's when we see the Joker that we all know, with, like the huge, like crazy grin and the psycho look on his face.
With the Carmine Infantino-esque Batman punching him in the face.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But yeah, and how this Batman dies is he's like, it's all fake, it was never real, but like the bat symbol signs up and he's like, he has to go, and he's like, the game's over at this point, it's not fun to him, and he's just like, it's the Riddler, and he's like, Eddie, he's like, listen, it's like, I know you're not actually going to pull the trigger, it's like, it's all a game, but the dude's actually like completely gotten too much into his part.
Yeah.
that he shoots Batman, and that's how he dies.
Point blank in the face.
Yeah, in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Which I thought that was kind of a cool one. And that's how that one ends. And then
I think my favorite part about that scene, though, was that you could tell he was going crazy because normally, like, the Ritter's, like, composed. He has, like, riddles thought out. This man's just like, I'm the goddamn Riddler. What's green and has a question mark on him and is gonna kill Batman? I'm like, that's not really a riddle, but okay.
That's not a riddle.
I mean, the answer is also standing right in front of you, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was a fun scene for that reason. But of course, that story can't be true because, as Batman points out in the book, Alfred is in the room, but also the Joker is in the room. So
right, it's once again playing to this timeless feel.
Yes.
Which gives us to Detective Comics 853. Which
we forgot to mention something.
Oh, what did we forget to mention?
In throughout the entire story, where people are explaining how they knew Batman and how he died, at the same time, Bruce is talking to a mysterious person we don't know.
Right.
At the time we're reading this book, watching all this play out, looking over his body and all that stuff. So.
That very true. Yeah, it's kind of Bruce trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But in Detective Comics 853, we can see what I assume to be Andy Kubert's homage to Detective Comics 27 with the way Batman's striking and picking up that guy off of rooftops.
Yes.
Which is very much an homage to the first appearance of Batman. Let's take a stab at the second issue. By the way, as our pal Azrael is in the third panel.
I know, yeah.
With this goddamn pouch gauntlets.
I got so excited when I saw him. Look at his stupid gauntlets.
It just doesn't make sense to have pouches there. He has a belt. Why do you have to put them on the gloves?
Yep, and his gloves catch on fire. So, it just burns all of his equipment out.
Yeah, it's just a poorly designed costume. It looks cool when it's just poorly designed. But after we see Azrael, we get right back into the possible Batman deaths.
Yes, but also, with the panels with Azrael, when we see Poison Ivy, you get to see, there's 3 panels on the page, and you get to see a different version of Batman in each panel.
Yep. One's very much the Frank Miller Batman, one's Kelly Jones, and the other one looks to be Jim Lee.
Yeah.
That looks like it.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about this issue, though, is that all the deaths are much more Batman being heroic than it is some sort of tragic accident than the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the stopping point of how Batman won't die and Batman won't quit. Which I thought was paired pretty well. I thought it was pretty well done.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that as well. I actually kind of like these shorter stories, too.
Yeah, I liked them a lot as well. I liked the one with Superman. I think that one was my favorite.
Oh, the one with Superman
that one was
great.
Nice.
I think I like the Robin one, though.
Robin one was really cool. The Clayface one was really, really good, too.
Yeah, that one was, too.
The one with Raish was funny.
The one with Ra's al Ghul was funny, yeah.
Yeah, because the way he dies is like he got bit by a scorpion in the desert and just died from poisoning.
Well, that's what happened in the. I believe that's how it happens in the original story.
Mm-hmm.
Is Batman does die, but he comes back.
Yes.
Also,
I had a question. The first person to tell a short story, the woman, who is that? I don't know who that is.
That's the original Batgirl. That would be. It's Betty Kane. She's been in some things though. She's Bat-hyphenated girl. That's.
Oh, okay. Batgirl. Okay.
Her first appearance was as in Batman number 139 in April of 1960. Yeah, she's the niece of Kathy Kane.
Okay.
But yeah, her post-crisis origin is even crazier. She became Flamebird for a while.
Okay.
So of Nightwing and Flamebird. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's who that is. As we spend way too long talking about it. And then Bruce, as he's talking to himself, sees a light at the end of the tunnel, and he sees his mother.
Yeah, which I was like mind blown. Like that was a really cool twist.
Yeah, and it's kind of takes you all through Batman history. It's like kind of the spirit journey where it's like he's like, I'm not coming back from this one, am I? And he's like, no, you're not.
But then it's like maybe you. It's like it's a weird thing where it's like he might be coming back, but like he also probably won't. It's like a weird game of like not like a straight answer.
Especially with the staunch belief of this Batman's sense that there is no afterlife.
No afterlife. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is kind of weird.
And the thing is, like, I like how Batman, like, Bruce figures out that he's having a near-death experience. He says, like, I feel too calm, and it's like, I can see the appearance of a loved one, like, which I thought was, like, really smart when it comes to Bruce being a detective, so.
Yeah, it was cool. But I liked how, in that sense, like, him talking to his mom, like, it revolves around, like, the story Goodnight Moon, but, like, it's you're saying goodbye to everything, as eventually you would have to do. But
yes.
Everything, like, with...
Everything comes to an end eventually.
The way I viewed this is, like, even though it comes to an end, because comics are so cyclical, everything happens again anyway, which is why we end with Bruce being born.
Yeah, I thought this was trippy as shit. I was like, oh
yeah, it is.
God.
So I'm not gonna lie, I love this ending.
Yeah. It's a really cool ending, where it's like metatextual, where it's I feel like it's your own interpretation of what it is, but like mine is like it's Neil Gaiman talking about how Batman's always going to be around, even if like one's killed off, like the Golden Age Batman. Then
like Batman's gonna die, but he'll always be back.
Yeah, he'll be back around in some shape or form or another, and it's probably always going to be a guy named Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, what Martha was talking about, how, like, when someone dies, like, there's no, like, heaven or hell, but you get a reward after. And he was saying, okay, what do I do? Like, what happens, like, after I die? Like, what's my reward? Yeah, reward is you get to keep being Batman. And that, like, explains the whole rebirth thing.
Yeah. No heaven or hell for you. You're just Batman.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat, but it's also kind of a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
But
it doesn't sound too good on paper.
Yeah, it's, I mean, kind of nearing the end of our episode discussion here, but, like, I like that ending as, like, there are so many different ways to take and mean for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's only 2 issues. Obviously, borrowing the story of the same name of whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow for Superman, I would say this story not as great as that story. But I thought Neil Gaiman did a good job, and Andy Kubert did a very fine job with his pencils, making this look very timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would.
But
I love the art for most of this book.
It's not a book that, like, I immediately think you need in your collection.
Issues. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not really a book, but it's 2-ish. I like the art for the issues.
Yeah, the art's cool, and it is a cool little, like, neat little story to visit. But if you are looking for the trade of this, it's packed with it's not just a 2-issue trade. It's packed with other issues that Neil Gaiman had wrote that are Batman centric. I think this Secret Origins issue is in there, which is pretty famous.
Definitely in there. I think there's 2 different Secret Origins issues actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's I think it's a total of either 5 or 6 issues total.
The only thing I don't know is, like, I know that those are in there in the DC Universe by Neil Gaiman book that was recently put out, but I don't know if this is in there. I'm assuming it would be, because it's just 2 issues. Might as well throw them in there.
Right.
Well, overall, what were your guys' thoughts?
I really enjoyed the story. It's gave me, like, a good view on, like, oh, like, these are, like, Batman is Batman, but, like, things could have gone wrong a lot of times for him.
Yeah.
Like, we really only see the portion of where, like, everything goes, like, pretty damn near perfect for Batman. But, like, there was a lot of things that could have gone wrong for him. And, like, it's cool to see, like, what could have happened had those things actually gone wrong.
Yeah, those stories I enjoyed it. It makes you think when it comes to Batman's journey as a crime fighter, and, like, how eventually he will die at some point, you know.
And if you're wondering, I did just check the contents of the DC Universe by Neil Gaiman book.
Mm-hmm.
This is in there.
Okay.
But it's funny, Mikey. You mentioned Batman's War on Crime because I guess we're in that portion of the show where you're going to reveal to us what your pick is for the next episode.
Oh, that was a clever plug. Jeez. Oh, that was a clever plug. The story we're gonna do for the next Cowcast is Batman War on Crime by Paul Dini and painted by Alex Ross.
Yes, the 1999 Prestige 64-page graphic novel that was put out for the 60th anniversary of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple books like this by Paul Dini and Alex Ross that I'll mention in the upcoming next week's episode. But this is a very, very cool book, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen.
It's Alex Ross. It is top. So
my favorite, top 5 favorite artists, Alex Ross is on that list for sure.
Which I'm sure we can talk about Alex Ross the next time we come here on the Cowcast. I'm looking forward to this one though. It's a pretty good one. Demoan, anything else you want to sum up with?
I think we pretty much covered all the bases. I'd say this is a fun read if you just want something quick. You can pretty much jump into it from anywhere, but I don't really have anything to add.
Well, all right. If that's it, well, I guess take us home then.
So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, and I'd like to remind you all to get home safe.
Get home safe.
And don't get killed by Alfred that's dressing up as the Joker.
Dressing up as your arch enemy. It's not a smart thing to do.
All right. Have a good one.